If you're watching and or listening to this podcast episode, you more than likely fall into one of these two categories. The first one is you are somebody who is an aspiring candle business owner or a hand maker of some kind, some other craft, and you're looking to start your business. Or you're somebody who has already launched your business and you're looking to grow it. But either way, more than likely throughout the process, you have asked yourself the question, how do I get more sales? I think that all of us at one time or another have asked ourselves that same question. And I know that I personally have asked myself that question many times from the beginning and throughout the entire process of me growing my business. I think that that question in general is a really good thing to ask yourself as an entrepreneur and a small business owner, because it constantly makes you strive for more and strive for growth and constantly be looking forward to what you can be doing to grow your business, because making more sales means making more money, therefore growing your business. So that's something that you definitely want to always revisit. But I will say, and that's what I'm going to be talking about in this episode today, I think that this question in general is way too broad. It's broad, it's vague. There's so much that goes into this question. And I think that it can lack direction and lack a path when asked in that very broad way. So in this episode, I'm actually going to be breaking this question down. We're going to be more specific, and I'm going to help you kind of think about how you can take that very simple and broad question of how can I make more sales and tailor it to you and your business to actually get the outcome that you are looking for with that question. So let's talk about it. Hello, and welcome to episode 6 of the Candle Business Podcast. I'm your host, Erica Marie Morris, and as always, so excited that you are joining me again today and listening to today's topic, because we have such a good one to talk about today. And if you are somebody who falls into that first category that I was talking about at the very beginning of this episode, you are somebody who is wanting to start a candle business, you've been researching, maybe you've been testing, and it's something that you really, really want to do, I do have a free gift. It's just a free download for you to download on my website. It's ericamarieMorris.com/checklist. And what it is it's a candle business launch checklist. So it's just there to give you some helpful information, things that you should be following along as you are going through this candle business journey up into the point where you will launch your candle business. So you can go download that for free right now. And by downloading it, you will also be joining my email list where I send out very helpful weekly emails. And it is just so much fun to kind of be a little bit more one-on-one and closer to you outside of YouTube. So that is a lot of fun. And also, as I am thinking about this topic and getting into the topic of sales, because when we think about sales, marketing, all that kind of stuff kind of goes hand in hand in the business side of things. And I do want to preface this topic by letting you know that I am not an expert in marketing by any stretch of the imagination. I only know what I know based on my experience so far as a business owner. And I also do know that I do have a form of a privilege being here on YouTube and having my YouTube channel and having that be kind of a really big marketing, I guess you could say. It didn't start off that way, but it definitely has become that, specifically with a lot of wholesale orders that I've gotten more recently. They've all come from YouTube. And I know that there's a lot of people that just find me, they enjoy my videos, they want to support. So I do know that I do have a privilege here on YouTube of having, that side of it. But there's nothing stopping you from creating your own YouTube channel, promoting your business, getting your business name out there. YouTube has also helped me a lot with having people reach out to me to want to interview me and then put up those articles on their website, which then in turn gets my name out there, links back to my website, backlinks, all that kind of stuff to help with SEO on Google. So there's all that kind of stuff that goes into it. But I kind of just wanted to preface this by letting you know I'm not an expert in marketing, so this is just kind of my take on the whole question of, how do you get more sales? And to start this off, I guess I just want to reiterate the question in the sense of just asking you right now, how do you get more sales? It kind of makes you draw a blank. It kind of makes you think, I have no idea. I can't even think of one thing, one strategy that would help me get more sales. And I think that it's because it's the equivalent of, what do you want to eat for dinner? And you think, I don't know. I mean, you could probably ask anybody in your family, anybody around you, what do you want to have for dinner? I don't know. You can't even think of one thing that you want. There are so many options, just like there are so many different ways that you can increase your sales. But when you try to ask something that's such a broad topic, it can be harder to think of an answer. So when somebody asks you, what do you want for dinner? And you have no idea, and you say, I don't know. But what if they were to ask you, hey, I'm going to Chick-fil-A, what do you want? You'd probably be able to come up with an answer. Now, fun fact, I've never been to Chick-fil-A before. Chris and I always joke about how we've never been, and every time we want to try it, it's a Sunday and they're closed. But I know that's a very popular place that a lot of people like to go to, and I'm sure you'd have your order and something, readily available to say, versus if somebody gave you something very broad, like, what do you want for dinner? Dinner can mean so many different things. So when we revisit the question of how do I get more sales, you have to essentially turn it into more of the question of where and who do I want to get those sales from, and how do I reverse that? Basically, you're going to be thinking about, where do you want those sales to come from? And then specifically, what are the action plans that you're going to take in order to get those sales? So it's more than just looking at the broad term of, well, I just want more sales. And if you say that, then it's kind of like, okay, well, where do you want them to come from? Do you want them to come from TikTok? Do you want them to come from Instagram? Do you want more local sales? Do you want wholesale orders? Like, what specifically are you wanting to increase sales from, and who? So this kind of goes back to previous videos where I've talked about finding your target market first, because if you work backwards and you find your customer before you come up with your marketing plan and you come up with, where you're going to be putting your energy into of promoting your product, you have to know where that customer is, who you're targeting, before you actually get to that point. Because once you know that, then you know the actions that you need to take in order to get there. When you have something very broad, like, how do I get more sales? Sales is so broad. Where is that coming from? What are you talking about? It's either you're standing in the middle of a dirt field and there's no roads at all and you literally can't go anywhere, or it's the picture of there's so many different roads to take and you have no idea which one to go down because there's so many different options. Versus when you narrow it down, then you know the actions that you need to take, because at the end of the day, when it comes to marketing, it's something where you actually have to take the action to get the sales. And it's not something to where you just, put your products up online, you wait for sales to come. You have to find the sales, you have to find the customer, and you have to take the action in order to make that happen. So let's get specific with this question. And I'm going to be giving examples because I personally do not like watching marketing videos, which I've watched marketing videos before. I've watched business videos for the last, 6-7 years, whatever it is. And I am somebody who definitely likes to have examples. Don't tell me a basic, generic, on the surface strategy of do this, do this, do this. I need to know, tell me what, put it in a way that I can understand. So that's what I'm going to try to do in this video, is give you an example using me and my business as an example. So for me personally, this is kind of how I decide to work backwards with the marketing. So basically what I'm going to do in order to take that question of how do I get more sales and essentially niche down, get more specific in that question so that you know the path to take in order to take the actions needed to get the result that you're looking for. So what actions, what things do I need to do? What type of marketing strategies do I need to implement in order to increase either the number of people that purchase from me, the average order value? You have to get very specific with what you're actually looking for. And so instead of that question, what I would ask myself, because I'm looking to increase my local customer base, is how do I get more local sales? Now that's making it more specific. You're taking a broader term like just sales, and now you're making it more specific by saying local sales. So that is more specific, but we can get even more specific with that. And as you can see, as I go through this, you can get down to really, 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 really specific. And with doing that, this is actually allowing you to cut off those different roads and or open up a road for you to take in order for you to have some sort of direction. Because just like with the question of what's for dinner and you have zero clue, once you narrow it down to Chick-fil-A, then you're like, okay, I know exactly what I want. And that's the same thing of how do I get more sales? Well, if you take sales, that's super broad, and you have to essentially cut that down and make it more specific so that you actually have a direction to go in. So with this, I would actually ask myself, well, who in particular am I wanting to sell to that's local to me? So what does local sales look like to me? What exactly do I mean by I want to increase my sales locally? So basically for me, local sales means that I want to sell to more people within the community. I want them to know about my brand, recognize it. I want them to make repurchases and tell their friends and family about my product. So with doing that, I'm really just trying to figure out if that's the ultimate goal, if I'm wanting to increase the number of people that know about my products in my local area, and I'm wanting to make it to where they become repurchasers, tell their friends and family, I have to encourage that. I have to take action in order to actually make that happen. And for me, that means attending local markets. That means when I'm at local markets, trying to grab people's email addresses. I have a separate email marketing category. It's like a segment of people on my email marketing platform. And that is so that I'm able to target specifically my local customers. I want people to keep repurchasing. I want them to be coming back to me. I want them to love the product so much that they tell people about it, which I can already see that happening. And the reason why that's happening is because we are attending a lot of local markets. And every time that we attend one, we're constantly telling everybody that we're going to be at X event on X date. So whatever the next event is, we're promoting that. And I'm also sending out emails to those local customers to let them know that we're going to be at that event. So that's how I'm building kind of the community around me so that people know my brand, they love the product, they want to keep being a part of that and keep purchasing from me for gifts, for themselves, and tell their friends and family about it. So of course, with that aspect and word of mouth, we don't have the control of doing that. Obviously, we don't have the control of a lot of it. It's more of just trying to persuade. A lot of marketing is just, I guess, trying to persuade people to purchase from you and give them a reason why they should purchase from you. And I feel like a lot of that can come into play in so many different ways. People purchase from businesses and small businesses for all different kinds of reasons. But with that aspect of not being able to control like the word of mouth, the only thing that you can do is just constantly tell people, like what your story is. Chris and I always tell them all the time that we're in a really small apartment. We're trying to get a house, like not trying to do like a sob story or anything or like pity or anything, but it's more of just letting them know our situation, getting them to know us more and wanting to support us even more in the products that we have and tell other people. And we tell them, tell friends and family, and we give them coupons for their next purchases. And I'm definitely wanting to try to think about doing some sort of local referral program. I just don't really know how to set that up in the best way because I know that stamp cards is not probably going to be the best way. There may be some sort of app of some kind I could try to find, but I don't know if that would require them to download an app. So I don't really know how I'd go about that, but I think that a referral program of some kind would be awesome to implement locally, because again, with local sales and local customers, that's just one avenue. As you can tell with what I said before, it can get really, really specific with what you're actually wanting from those sales, who you're wanting to purchase, because I just talked about direct to consumer. So being at those local markets and gathering those email addresses, that's to me trying to expand my local direct to consumer customer base. And another part of the local sales could be finding more distributors. So being able to find businesses that want to carry your products as wholesale or private label. That's a whole different way that you'd be able to get into getting more sales, but that would be more of, how do I get more distributor local sales? So how do I get more wholesale clients, essentially? And that requires a different action to take. I wouldn't, if I was looking to increase and get into, let's say, 3 retail stores, which, yeah, that's definitely a goal, absolutely. But in order to do that, I wouldn't just be going to local pop-up events and not talking about it at all, or not promoting it, or that's not a way in that case that would get the outcome that I'm looking for, that specific outcome that I'm looking for. So that's why, again, you have to get specific with what exactly you're wanting and what kind of sales that you're actually wanting to get, and who you're wanting them to come from, where you're wanting them to come from. You could even get more specific on how many more people and how much more money, and increasing the average order value, and just being very, very specific on who you are trying to get those sales actually from. And I'll give you another example of how I am trying to expand locally, and that is by utilizing local Facebook group pages. So recently I started being a little bit more active on a very popular city Facebook group that a lot of people are on and a part of. And on Mondays, they actually allow businesses to make posts to promote themselves, promote their businesses. And something that's extremely popular to do is to run giveaways. And I absolutely love giveaways. I understand that not a lot of people want to do that all the time, because yes, you are, giving away product for free. But how I think about it is, if I can let people try my product even one time, I'm very confident that my product is good enough that they are going to want to repurchase. Now, again, I know I can't control that. I know it could be a total loss and I might just be giving that product away for free, but that is a form of advertising, and you are basically giving away that product for free, spending essentially the money, the time that you are putting into making the product. That is technically your advertising, because you're just giving away that product for free. But in turn, you are hoping that that customer does want to repurchase from you because they enjoyed the candle so much. So I did my first giveaway, picked a winner, and within that, I actually was able to get multiple people to follow me on Instagram that are local. So when you run a giveaway on Facebook, at least this is how I had noticed that a lot of other people were doing it, so I did it that way as well, is essentially just picking a number between 1 and whatever the number is. I did 1 in 500. Whoever's closest without going over wins the candle. And the stipulation is they have to follow me on Instagram in order to participate and enter. And I was noticing a lot more people follow me on Instagram. I was matching the names up to everybody who was commenting. So it was really cool to be able to do that. And again, I'm just hoping that if I can get people in the door, essentially, just know who I am, know who my brand is, and get familiar with it, that I can start making an impact locally. And it just kind of is a domino effect of, the more places you pop up for local events, the more people see you, the more you post and engage in the community, the more people that are going to recognize you and see you. And I don't know if this is factually true. I believe it is, but I have heard it for so long, and maybe you've also heard this, that somebody needs to see something 7 times before making a purchase. So they need to be familiar with it and see it multiple times before they actually purchase. And I feel like that can actually be very, very true for me, because there has been an ad that I've seen on Facebook pop up for probably this entire year that I've considered getting. It's a video on stretching, on how to do the splits. It's like a course. And I'm like, man, I would love to do that. And every time I saw it, I'd read the comments and all the people that had good success with it. And for some reason, I'm like, oh, I'll get it later though. I'll get it later. And finally, 2 weeks ago, I got it. And it just kind of made me think, okay, like sometimes you have to just be persistent, and people who see it may not purchase it now, but they may purchase from you 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th time they've seen your ad. And they're like, okay, that's starting to look really familiar to me now. Because every time I'd see that ad, I'm like, man, okay. And it was like, the more I saw it, the more it just kind of reminded me like, oh yeah, I wanted to get that. Should I get that right now? And depending on where the customer is in the moment, they may just make that decision to purchase, which is what I did with this course. So that's kind of how I connected with that when you're on social media, especially if you're, wanting to increase your sales on social media, on Instagram, let's say, I actually had somebody tell me at one of my markets that one of my posts popped up in their feed. I don't know if it's like the recommended. I feel like Instagram is very weird now with the way that they do things. On your main feed, they can show you things that like you're not even following, or, like tags and stuff like that you're not even following. And I tag all the time in my Instagram photos. When I post, I always tag local. So I always tag my cities around me, city name and event, all that kind of stuff. So it's very like local to me. And I always will tag where I live so that it's more likely to be shown locally. And I had somebody who told me at my booth that said, hey, I found you on Instagram. You just randomly popped up. And I'm like, oh, that's really cute. And I clicked on it. I followed you and I saw that you were going to be here. So you just never know who's going to be seeing your post. And I know that I don't even think I dove into this topic yet of posting online, because I was kind of talking about local. But there's just so much that encompasses this topic, as you can see. And I didn't even talk about online sales, but the same thing works wherever you are wanting to get your sales from. Take that phrase of how do I get more sales and be specific. So what is one avenue, one platform that you can put 100% of your marketing efforts into? If it's Instagram, focus on Instagram. If it's TikTok, focus on TikTok. If it's Facebook, if it's local, if it's whatever it is that you are wanting to specifically get more sales from. And then you have to get even more specific than that and know who your target market is and know who you are trying to sell to. Because especially if you want to experiment with running ads, which is something that I'm definitely wanting to experiment with as well, you have to know who your target market is. So your age range, gender, all that kind of stuff that you are actually trying to target for your product. That is something that you have to get very specific with. So when it comes to marketing, when it comes to wanting to get more sales, you just have to take that basic phrase of how do I get more sales and make it specific to you and your situation on what you're actually trying to do. And that way, your brain can just focus on that one thing. Because if you've thought to yourself, okay, well, I post on Instagram and I post on TikTok and I've done this and I've done that, and you have to think, okay, well, have you given 100% of your effort to really dive deep into that specific area of where you're wanting to get sales from, and kind of work backwards. Think, okay, well, who's going to buy the product? Where can I find them? How do I put my product in front of them? What's the strategy of getting there, of actually putting my product in front of them, and just kind of work backwards in that sense to be able to, again, get that outcome that you're looking for, which is an increase in sales, whatever that means for you. And because there is no way that I could end this podcast right here, because I know that some of you are like, okay, Erica, but like, can you like actually tell us some ways to increase sales? And I'm going to do my best to give you some general helpful advice for you if you are a candle business owner, handmade business owner, or if this is something that you are looking to get started on and you're just trying to get a head start in it, which highly recommend, and good on you for doing that. So here are some general ways that you can increase sales. First thing is look at your product photos, improve your product photography, add more photos, hire somebody to take professional product photos for you if you need to do that. If you look at your product photos and they are very, I don't know, just not, if you can look at your product photos and basically just say, would I purchase from this based on the photo? And you have to be very honest with yourself when it comes to that, and maybe get honest feedback from people in your life, because every single thing that you post online, on Instagram, wherever you are posting your product photos, that is a form of marketing. People like things that are aesthetically pleasing. People like things that are, pleasing to the eye. And I try to do the best I can to constantly improve my product photography and make it to where people are enticed to click on it. What is that? What brand is that? What candle? Okay, this is a candle. I really like the way that this looks. Remember, candles are home decor. People look at it and want to think immediately, what would this look like here? Or, oh, this would be so cute in the bathroom because it matches the decor, whatever it is. You have to make sure that your product is up to marketing, because all of that is marketing. Everything you put on your website is marketing. The product photos, the descriptions, the tags, the listing title, all of that is marketing, because especially anything that you type on your website, that is SEO, which is search engine optimization. So the more keywords that you have on your website, the more you can have that basically be better found in search results. So all of that has to do with marketing, advertising, everything that you put on your website, and kind of the whole look of everything, your whole brand, your whole vibe, your whole aesthetic, whatever you want to say, that is all a part of marketing. So definitely make sure that your product photos are in a way that people would be enticed to purchase your product. And there is no shame in paying other people to take pictures of your product. If you are just not good with product photography, you don't have a nice camera, and even with your phone camera, you just can't seem to take the best pictures, there's no shame in having other people take product photos for you. You'll be so happy with the outcome of what your product photos look like. And I will say a little tip with that is that if you do pay somebody to take product photos, try to have them take product photos to where you can essentially turn those photos into mock-ups. So what I do is every time I have my product photos, you can go on Fiverr and actually pay somebody to turn it into a mock-up. So essentially you can be like, can you put this label on this picture? That way you only have to pay for those specific amount of product photos. And if you want to change what the label looks like, you're able to kind of interchange. At least that works with me and my labels and my candles. That works really, really well. But that's just kind of like a little tip if you want to create mock-ups out of your candles, especially if you're taking that front listing photo. That's what I do with all of my front listings, because I want it to look cohesive. So next thing you can do to market your products, market your candles, get more sales, is to carry around your products and your business cards with you and tell everybody and anybody. You never know who you are going to run into, have a conversation with, run into and have a conversation. I know I just reiterated that, but essentially when you're at grocery stores, doctor's appointments, vet appointments, you just never know who's in the waiting room, who you can talk to. I talk to the people at my dental office. They all know that I sell candles. My apartment complex all knows that I sell candles. And it's just kind of something that you just never know who's going to be there. And that kind of increases the word of mouth on your business and on your products. So the more that you can give people your products or try to sell right then and there, give out your business cards. The people at Trader Joe's, they always ask, what are you doing this weekend? Or what's going on for the rest of the day? And it's a perfect opportunity to just kind of throw in like, oh, well, I got to make some candles because I have an order, we're doing a market, or whatever it is. And they kind of ask a little bit more because it's not a typical response to get that they typically get. And then if they ask, then you could either, if you have a product or if you have a card or whatever it is. And of course, this may seem kind of awkward when you first do it, but you just never know if you can get a customer out of that, or you never know who they are, if they know somebody or that can get you maybe into a local shop. You just never know the connections. And I didn't understand the whole point of like networking and connecting and being a part of the community and all that kind of stuff until I was running this business and realizing how important it is to know people and be more a part of the community in that way. So the next one is actually to build up your email list. Email marketing is very, very important. Email marketing is super powerful. It's very, very big still. It is a number one way for people to purchase from you. I just launched my winter collection and half of my sales so far have come from email marketing. So that is definitely something that you should be trying to build up and incentivize anybody that comes on your website. So anybody that comes on your website, you want to try to get them on your email list. And this could be done through a pop-up that pops up on your website to incentivize a certain percentage off, a certain dollar amount off if they subscribe to the newsletter. And then that way they're on your email list and you're able to promote items to them and let them know, hey, remember me? I exist. Here's a sale that's going on. Here's a new product. Whatever it is that you can promote, you have their email address and you have their permission to send them marketing emails. So definitely, if you have not already, think about, start up, get more information on email marketing, whatever it is, to start building your email list and get that going, because it's definitely a very powerful part of your business. And then the last one is to try to post on your Instagram story every day. What I've noticed is that the more you post and the more people that click, the more likely it is for your story to continuously post or be available first on the top. And I don't know about you, but I actually watch stories more than I look through the actual feed. So if you're constantly posting, the more people that click on your story, the more likely it is for you to then be essentially put up there for them. So every new story that you do for that person that it clicked, it's like a recent view. So Instagram's like, okay, you just viewed this person yesterday, so they just put a new post, so here it is again. And you basically just want to try to be at the top of your followers' mind as much as possible. Now, again, I'm not huge into, well, you have to work every day and post 10, 12 stories, so much content all the time. But even just a couple stories, that's a day or every other day, whatever it is, just so you're making sure that you can still essentially just be relevant on people's Instagrams. It helps a lot, because the more people see your stories, the more that anytime you promote or talk about something, the more possibilities of people seeing that post, versus on your actual post on the feed. I don't know what Instagram is doing or how they're doing it or whatever, but I just feel like it's not as, I don't know, it's not as predictable. Like, their algorithm is kind of weird. So many ads now. So I just feel like not a lot of people are maybe like scrolling as much. But on stories, I feel like that is a way that people, it's such a quick thing, and just to catch people's attention, and just little stories here and there. And within the Instagram story, you can tell a little story of the day. So what you're doing, engage with them as much as possible. I love doing questions. I love doing almost little like where they have to choose like the multiple choice surveys, I guess, or polls. It's just a lot of fun, and it's engaging for your community, for your followers that you have, even if it's just something simple. Like, I love doing the one where it's asking them what scent category they love the best. So doing like beachy, floral, fruity, or sweet, whatever it is, and just having people, give you feedback. And with your community that you've built, and your followers that are following you, that is a way for you to know not only what products you should be posting, you can have them essentially engage with you and be a part of that process of what new products you're going to come out with, or what you're going to offer to them, whatever it is, you can include them in that process. I'm always a huge fan of doing behind the scenes, all that kind of stuff. I just feel like being able to build up that community on Instagram is super important to do. I was going to say popular or positive, but it's very important to do for your business because, again, the more that you are engaging, the more that you are showing up constantly in people's feed, on people's Instagram, the more chances of people being like, oh yeah, that candle brand. Oh yeah, that company. Maybe I want to try it. Or maybe you finally post something that they're like, okay, I need to get that. I've been seeing this brand pop up so much and I just really want to get that, because it could be the seventh time. You never know. It could be at that point on that post, could be the seventh time that that potential customer found you and they're just now being like, you know what, I'm gonna make the purchase now. You just never know. So to reiterate, I know this is a very, very in-depth topic. And I really wanted to go about it in a way that I could break down how I really feel about that question and hopefully get you to be able to break that question down yourself, because a lot of times it's such a general answer that people will give of how to get more sales, which is what I did, the last 4 things that I talked about. That is very general, but in all of those ways, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be the most tailored answer for you personally and what you're looking for in your business. So just make sure that you take that question, niche it down, make it more specific, take some time to figure out what you're actually wanting to do with your business and where you want those sales to come from and what the sales actually mean to you. And you'll be able to get to those goals if you take action on it. If you're taking action steps in order to get there, you will be able to see results much better than you would if you just kind of was looking at all these general things to do, like, okay, well, I'll do this and I'll do this and I'll do this, and then I'm still not getting sales. And I think it's because we just think that if we check all the boxes of what marketing is supposed to be, then all of a sudden we're just going to get all these sales. But we sometimes have to think outside of the box and get more specific, because the more specific you can get, the better your outcomes can be, at least in my opinion, on this whole topic. So I think I am done talking. My mouth is dry enough. And I think that I am just about done with this episode, and I really hope that you found value in it, that you enjoyed it, that it helped you in some way. Please, if you are watching on YouTube, leave a comment down in the comment section below and let me know if it helped you out, because I love diving deeper into these topics, and I know that this topic here is such a important one, and it's a very, very common question that many people talk about or ask. Others ask themselves, all that kind of stuff. So with that, I think I'm going to end today's lesson right here. As always, I very much appreciate you hanging out with me today, and I will see you in my next lesson. Sorry, I just said lesson, and I meant to say episode. I've been creating my shipping course, and in those videos I said lesson. So if I said lesson anywhere throughout this podcast episode, I meant to say episode. So